Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing something a little different. With all the rain we've been getting, I've been held up at the house, so I figured now would be a good time to do a walkthrough of the Hobie Kayak. Kind of go through everything, do a walkthrough, give my thoughts on it all. I purchased this kayak around December of 2019, right before the pandemic. And I was lucky I did, because right after the pandemic hit, kayaks were very hard to get. Everybody wanted to go outdoors, do something outdoors and stay away from people, I guess. This isn't my first kayak. The first kayak I ever bought was a Cajun kayak. I bought it about 10 years ago and I had it for about a year and I sold it. It was kind of pricey at the time when I bought it. I think they're out of business now. It was like $1,300, $1,400, which was pricey at the time for what the kayak was. It wasn't some crazy fishing kayak with all the bells and whistles. It's kind of bare bones. But I ended up selling it because the seat was very uncomfortable. It was just basically hard plastic and you couldn't fish for more than 2 or 3 hours. So sold that, ended up buying a Wilderness Systems Tarpon 120, which I still have because I like to keep a backup kayak in case friends want to come fish. So I think it's good to keep 2 kayaks. And then that leads us to the Hobie. By far the best kayak I've ever owned. The seat is amazing. I'll show you that later. By far probably the best seat you can get on a kayak. Super comfortable, you can fish all day, no problems. So yeah, let's get into it and I'll show you what's going on. All right, we'll work our way from the back on up. On the back, we got our safety flag. It's the Hobie one. I like to have one of these, either that or red tape, if you're traveling at night or on the interstate or whatever, and people can't see the kayak sticking out the back. It's good to have. Right here, we got 2 drain plugs. 1, 2. So if you get some condensation or some water, you just lift your kayak and drain it out. Back here, it's kind of hard to miss, the micro anchor power pole. So basically this is one of those luxury purchases. You don't need it, but I feel like once you have it, it's hard to go back. I went fishing in the flats one time and then I said, you know what? I think it's time, because most of the fishing I do is in like 5 feet of water or less. Basically, if you do any kind of river fishing or deep ocean, definitely you don't need it. But if you do any kind of flats, marsh fishing, it's one of those purchases that you just would love if you get it. It's a luxury purchase. It's not needed. You could use basically a stakeout pole, or you could just make an anchor. But once you have it, I love it. This power pole I have hardwired, so I don't have to bother with the batteries. So I got the wire going this way, and I drilled a hole in the kayak, and then I ran it through this mount, this haul here, through the kayak, up to the front. The wires are kind of a mess. And then I use the Yak Attack Noctua battery, which I love because it's waterproof, it's small, and it's lightweight. I love it. Never had any problems with it. And then here's the safety feature on it. So right here it's attached, and then you got a string coming to a ball that I screwed to the kayak on the side, which is arm reach from the seat. So if you ever get the pole stuck in the mud and your battery's dead and you have to leave, it won't activate. Your pole won't come out. All you have to do, take this ball, pop it out, pull, and it releases this safety. And then all you do is kayak forward, and this mount right here will actually go up. And then the pole will be out of the mud and you can kayak to a better spot. So I think it's really important to have that. Really cool. Moving down, here we got our anchor trolley that I made. There's a kit. We got the 2 rings, and then we have the 2 pulleys on this each end. This is very useful whenever you're fishing in the wind and you need to orient yourself in a better position. All right, moving down, we got the 2 paddles secured like this. I don't use the paddles too much, but every so often when you launch, you got to use one to kind of push off. But they're nice to have if your Mirage drive breaks, then you have a backup to get home. So there's the 2 paddles. Then you got 2 rod holders, 1 on each side. This back hatch I don't really use much. This is really made for just access if you're working in the kayak and you need to get to like a screw, or you need to drill a hole. I know they make the little canisters that fit in there. I just never had a use for it because it's so far back. It's really hard to reach from the seat. So there you go. This is where you activate your rudder. Pull this and it releases the rudder. Now that we have our rudder out, here is the handles. You got 1 on each side. So you just move it left to right. And as you're moving it, this is the back. The skag does not move, it stays straight. Here's the seat. Kind of has different positions. You can actually raise the back and get a higher position, which I don't like the higher position. I kind of like to stay a little lower. But all you have to do, raise it up, gets into the little grooves, put the seat back, and then basically this is just a flat position. So you're in a higher vantage point. But like I said, I like to go low, and it's more of a beach style. You kind of laid back. And then on the back, you actually have a lumbar support. You can change out the different, the tension on the back, which is kind of fancy. And then there's different settings and everything, but this seat is really nice. Here's the access for like all the stuff you would need in a hurry, knives, measuring tape, sunscreen. So I'm gonna show you what I got inside here. Here's a little compartment for some pliers. Now this thing actually comes stock with 3 tackle boxes, which I don't like too much because I can keep the tackle underneath the seat, or I can keep it in the front. So what I like to do is I bought this little plastic canister and it fits perfectly inside. And I just keep a bunch of, this thing is kind of disorganized, but I got hand soap for when you're trying to eat. You don't want fishy hands. Wind guard, floaty, sunscreen, backup measuring tape, Bluetooth speaker. Here's the actual remote for the power pole, but I like to use it's like a little stick-on control on the sides. There we go, we got some bug spray. Got some SD card container. Only have 1 SD card in there, but it's waterproof, so it's nice to have extra. Another cool thing is while I'm in the water, I actually have the USB charger that runs off the battery. So I could charge the GoPro batteries, or I could charge my phone. And that's really nice to have. What I did was I drilled in to the side and screwed in the mount. And it's powered all through the battery. So I've got the power pole, got the fish finder, and I got this off of that 1 battery. All right, moving on, we got the Mirage hole right here. All you do is drop it in, make sure it snaps, and then that's it. and that's what propels you. Very easy to paddle, very efficient, and an added bonus is kick-up fins. If you ever hit a rock or anything hard, so to reduce the risk of breaking the drive, they actually break and they move up to get out of the way. So you got more room if you hit a log or a rock or something. And once they're disengaged like this, the only way to lock them back is just to paddle real hard, and basically they lock back in place. And good to go. And up front, we got 4 rod holders, like for storage. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically are just some tubes that extend. You can fit 4 rods in here as storage, and then then you can also have 2 on the rod holders, and you can keep a lot of rods on this kayak. Very important, gotta have the cup holder. I use this in the mornings if I have coffee or keep my water on here. Coming around to the other side, we have these little side hatches for just various baits or whatever. I keep pliers, and I keep some soft plastics. And the other one, I keep some fish grips. Here I got a fish finder. It's just it's nothing fancy. It's just a basic fish finder. The Lowrance Hook 5X. And what I use that for is basically depth. I want to see how deep I'm fishing. I'll use it for drop-offs. Rarely will I use it to locate fish, but it's nice to have for the depth finder. One day I might upgrade. To the front, it's the front hatch. It's secured with these 2 bungees, which if you get a lot of water coming up through the front, you might get a little water in the kayak, but it's no big deal. You open this up, we got the action hat, and then we got the regular hat. We got first aid kit that we never used. Just basic stuff. I should probably upgrade the kit. There's not too much stuff in here. We got these came with the kayak. I don't ever use them. Over here, never had to open this, but I like to keep the air horn on just in case, never know. Got a digital scale, and I got the drone DJI Mavic. It's incredible footage you can get with this thing. Over here we got a rain jacket, and we got the backup regular scale. We got a few popping corks, and we got this. Kind of keep a rope tied onto the front, the way if you ever launch in a kayak, you need to tie it off and go park the truck or something. You don't lose the kayak. All right, guys, that's it for the walkthrough on the kayak. Last final words on it is it's pretty expensive. It's not something that you want to buy if you're just trying out the sport and you're not sure if you're going to stick with it. I would definitely recommend a cheaper kayak. Maybe even the Tarpon 120 is a good starting point. I think they're about maybe 800 bucks. Unless you get a used one, you could probably find one for 400. To see if you just will like the sport or you don't want to drop a big investment. Like I said, this was my 3rd kayak, and I knew, kind of learned from each one what I wanted and what I didn't want. Another con on the Pro Angler is the weight. It's very heavy. If you're by yourself, you gotta learn some of these little tricks on trying to maneuver it. You gotta figure out how you need to get the wheels. Definitely get the wheels for it, because you're not gonna move this thing without it. If you have 2 people, you can maybe manhandle it, but that's a con, is the weight. So another plus that I never mentioned is the stability of it and the room. You could stand up in this thing and you have no problems. You won't even feel like you're gonna flip. You have all this room by your feet, you know, for like working with the fish, or you just have room for stuff. That's what I like. You know, you put ice chests back here. You can keep your tackle under your seat, and you keep your weights up front, you keep your different poles. I don't know, it's just a lot of room. All right, we made it to the end. I think that covers all the basics. If I left anything out, let me know. I'll try to answer it in the comments. So can't wait to get out there and go fishing again. And thanks for watching. And see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.